Welcome to the complete React Native setup guide for Windows OS made for the 21 version and above. So in this video, I'll be teaching you how to set up React Native on your new Windows machine. So it's intended to be a fresh install, but if you already have some of the software installed, you can just skip the time notes and just jump to the specific setups you need. This setup is intended for a React Native bare expo workflow. So if you're going to React Native, you will be bound to come across React Native uh, CLI and the Expo CLI. So this setup guide is for you to be able to uh, run your React Native apps both on React Native CLI and the Expo CLI. Our main guide for this video will be the official React Native documentation, which you can visit directly using this link. But if you want to navigate there by yourself, all you have to do is open up your browser and type React Native in the search engine. Your first page should be the website of React Native, react-native.dev. And once you're in the site, go to Docs and then go to Environment Setup and then click on Setting up the development environment. So as you can see here, they offer two ways to set up your environment. So one is with Expo and one is with the React Native CLI, as we have already mentioned before. So these two different workflows, you should try to be familiar with them both. I suggest studying about Expo, which is an open source platform built around React Native to provide a set of tools and libraries that makes your React Native development easier. While the React Native CLI exposes important features from the native side. So it allows you to code native code together with React Native code if you so desire. So it gives you more flexibility. So in this video, we will be setting up both. And using this workflows as the guides for our setup, we will be setting up both in the video. So our first software that we need to install is Chocolatey, which is a popular package manager for Windows. It's like the APT in Linux, Ubuntu, or other package managers. So to install Choco or Chocolatey, all you have to do is go first to a new tab, then type Chocolatey. So this should be the website chocolatey.org, and just click on the website and then install now. So you don't have to subscribe to the newsletter. Your installation method, so all you have to do is follow the instructions. So we need to open up a administrative shell. So it's referring to PowerShell. So you have to go to Start, then click on PowerShell, then Run as administrator. That's it. Then all you have to do is follow the instructions. So they suggest to run the following commands. It will allow you to install Chocolatey. You just have to click on this copy button or copy, then paste the commands in your PowerShell. It should automatically install Chocolatey for you. So we have to wait until Chocolatey is fully installed on our machine. So after installation, you should be able to run Choco. Okay, so we have Chocolatey version 0.11.3. Once Chocolatey is installed, you don't have to do anything else here. You just have to close the window and you go back. Go to your PowerShell, type clear to clear the current screen since we don't need any more information regarding the installation process, and just follow this command except for node.js. So if you want to set up React Native on your machine, I would not recommend to install a single version of Node. I will be suggesting or making a recommendation later in the video. For now, let's just copy the command choco install y and just select open JDK 8 since we only need the JDK which is the Java development kit which we need to build our Android application. So all we need to install using Choco is open JDK 8. Enter. It should install uh, JDK 8 for you. So let's just wait for it to finish. So as you can see, uh, Chocolatey automatically downloads the JDK from the available source, which is from GitHub. After downloading, it will automatically install by extraction, then add up environment path variables for you, and there you go. OpenJDK is successfully installed in your program files. So you now should be able to see the OpenJDK successfully installed. For Node, since I already opted to suggest to you that you should not install a single version of Node using Chocolatey, what do we do instead is to search by opening a new tab and search for NVM Windows. So you have to type in Windows. So there's a GitHub project made by Cory Butler called NVM-Windows, which is a node version management utility. That's what NVM stands for. And what this does is it allows you to have many versions of Node on your machine because prior to that, installing a single version of Node uh, can cause conflicts between multiple installations of different Node versions. So if you installed Node 12, for example, and you need Node 14, it could cause conflict if you would install both Node 12 and Node 14 in different um, installation setups. So NVM handles that perfectly for you. That's why I will be suggesting to anyone installing on a new machine to choose NVM if you want Node on your Windows machine. So it does say that here in the overview. All you have to do is to download now. So just click open in a new tab. It will redirect to a new page, and all you have to do is find the file. So do not pay attention to this warning later on. No install. So what you want to download is the nvm setup.zip. So yes, this download should be a fast installation. Just have to go to the folder, extract, and then double click and just go through the installation process by default. So I will keep all my paths default. Finish. So after that, you're gonna close this tab. Let's go back. So as you can see there, to check if the installation was successful, you need to open your PowerShell or terminal. So in my case, I'll be switching to the terminal now. So terminal or command prompt. Run as administrator just to be safe. NVM. So NVM should automatically be available as a command on the terminal, command prompt, PowerShell, or even the new Windows terminal. It should give the same result. I can use Windows terminal available in the Windows Store because it's more convenient for me. Uh, but for convenience for all of the viewers, we will be using the command prompt CMD, which is the most available on all Windows machines. So now you want to install a node version, but you don't know which one. So you have to type in nvm list, installation recognize. So to find the available node versions, you have to add an additional parameter, available. Type available at the end. So what this means is you don't include the brackets, but instead pass in a text called available instead as a additional parameter. So this is what it looks like. So there's a lot of versions, but I would recommend sticking with LTS or long-term support because it's the most stable out there. For now, I will just install a lower version, node 12, so nvm install 12.22.7. So what's good about nvm is that these different versions can coexist with your project. So if, for example, you need to run or switch to a node 16 or node 17 or node 14 environment, you can just switch. For example, I will install also a node 14, nvm install 14 point, let's see, let's go with the latest version of node 14.17. 14.17. So the latest version of node 14.17 is 0.6. Let's go ahead and install another one. So I would recommend any version between 12 and 14 just to stay on the safe side. Since your React Native project needs Node, it needs a stable version to run. It's downloading a version of npm again because these environments are completely separate. NVM 14, NVM 12 is different environments. So it needs to download its own npm and all. So after that, you have to check by using nvm list. Now you can use 12.227 nvm list again. Okay, it will say that you're currently using this version. So if by any chance in your React Native development you want to switch to a higher or lower version for your React Native project, maybe newer, maybe older, or somewhere in between, you can easily switch node versions and you will not be encountering any errors with regards to the node versions. So NVM makes that easy. So that's it for installing a Node on your machine. NVM is a very convenient software for that. So now that we have installed Node, which is what the going back to the documentation, which is what the React Native the documentation recommended to us. You can proceed to the Android development environment. However, before we get into that, I would like to recommend downloading Git first. Git. So Git is a version control system. Git for Windows. So Git for Windows. So this is one, but you can also go to git-scm. So I would recommend going to this second link and download the 64-bit Git for Windows. So this will ask you to save the file. I've already saved that file and downloaded onto my computer, so I will install. So Git allows you to uh, for the most simple reason possible, it allows you to clone projects, React Native projects or other projects built by other people, by other developers, and they shared it publicly with you. So I would say yes. Um, yes, I will keep the default settings. So yes, just next. Don't change anything. Just allow the default settings for now, unless you already know what to do. If you're not familiar with the options, just use the defaults. Yes. So there were a lot of options. I just opted to keep the default settings for now. So there are many React Native projects that you can reference from as you learn. So if you install Git on your machine, you will be able to clone them and run them with your React Native setup. So that is what allows us to um, copy and collaborate over React Native projects. Git is a very useful tool for that. So to verify, all we need to do is in our search Git. So it should have a Git CMD and Git Bash or Git GUI. So for now, I will choose Git Bash. And then go to Git CMD. Yes, so this will allow you to use Git commands as like Git clone. And then all you have to do is, for example, here is a sample repository that on a demo app that I made. All I have to do is go here and get the Git repository URL, Git clone. But I have to switch to my desktop first. Yes, Git clone, paste the repository. Then there you go. The app, the project, the React Native project is ready to run. And you just have to follow the developer's precise instructions on how to set up and run the project. So it's here. So this is very useful for learning as well as collaborating with other people in the future if you do so need. So that's it on installing Git. After we have successfully installed Git, what we need to do now is follow the official guide, which is just removing this, which is getting our Android development environment set up. So if you're on Windows, unfortunately, you'll only be able to develop React Native apps for the Android platform. But since React Native allows you to build um, mobile applications for both iOS and Android, if you decide to migrate this project over to a Mac machine, to a Mac OS machine, like a MacBook or iMac, you'll be able to build and run the mobile application there, provided that you have set up uh, the requirements for iOS development, which is Xcode and other tools. So for now, for Windows users, we'll be sticking to the Android development environment. So of course, this involves the Android Studio. So the documentation mentions that very well. So going to Android Studio download. So all you have to do is go to this site by developer.android.com and directly install the latest version, which is, for me, it's 2020.3.1. All you have to do is scroll down and do not mind the badge unless you want the badge. I have read and agreed, and just download. Yes, it will prompt you to install a 915 megabyte file, which is very long, so I opted to download it ahead of time. So after you have successfully downloaded the Android Studio installer, all you have to do is run it and just stick with the defaults. Yes, just follow the instructions. Yes, make sure that this is checked. Android virtual device, we need it for our emulator, which is a device that behaves similar to your phone, which you can use for testing. So all you have to do is next, stick with the defaults, and just wait for the installation to complete. So next, afterwards, it should be good to go. So you opt to run Android Studio because the next part of our setup will be regarding the Android SDK. After successfully installing Android Studio, let's open it up, and then a screen should pop up, a window similar to this one. But since this is a much older version, the aesthetics have changed, and for me, I have personally installed Android Studio on this machine before, and I opted for a dark mode or dark theme. So if you're installing the same version as me, Arctic Fox 2020.3.1 patch 2, this should be the UI that you will see instead of this one. So to install the Android SDK, you need to go to the more actions option here on the right, then go to SDK manager. So as per the instructions, we need to install the Android 10 SDK in particular. So I would opt to install the Android 10 SDK, which I already have installed. So this is the Android version that's on my phone, my physical phone right now, and it's the most stable one. That's why React Native recommended that to install this SDK. So for new users or for those installing on a fresh machine, you would want to check you would want to check this option. And for me, I also needed to check on lower Android versions, so I also needed to download their SDK. But I also want a system image for a virtual device. So a virtual device is kind of a simulation for my physical phone. So I wanted to have an emulator of an Android phone on my computer. So That's why it says here at the bottom, you would have to select the SDK for Android 10, as well as make sure that the following items are checked: a system image. So to see this, all you have to do is wait. When you check this box, you have the option to show the package details below. So going down to Android 10, you have to make sure that this is checked, as well as this one. You have to, instead of the Intel x86 Atom 64 system image, you have to choose the Google APIs, because this provides better testing for Google services like Firebase notification. So if ever you need that, it would be better to download the Google API's Intel x86 Atom system image instead. So you have to check this, make sure that all three items are checked, and once you're satisfied or have completed this task, all you have to do is click apply, and it will prompt you for the download size and how many space will be consumed after it has finished downloading. All you have to do is click OK, and then wait patiently for the download to finish. So after your download is finished, it should prompt you to click finish. Then the window will close. Go back to this window for the SDK manager. So one thing to note that is when you show package details again, for the Android 10, we only downloaded a system image which contains Google APIs. So Google APIs are for Google Play services, but this image is different from an image of an Android system that has Play Store built in. So that's why when we click OK and then click on more actions and go to the AVD manager, when we attempt to create an emulator, which is create a virtual device, we see that when we click next on phones that have Play Store icons, we can see that the queue which we have downloaded is not available. R is available because I have already downloaded prior. So what we need to do is select other phones which don't have the Play Store icon, like the Pixel 2 XL. So if we click next, it will have the queue available. So it's up to you if you also want a Play Store built in with your emulator for testing. If you want, for example, if you want to test downloading an app from an emulator, from a Play Store emulator. So for now, we'll just focus on making sure that our system image and our emulator runs perfectly. So just keep the defaults, finish, and then click the play icon, which will start your virtual device. So if you plan to run your React Native mobile application on your emulator, you should be able to see at the setup level that the phone is working fine. Okay, but if you're not and you're going to use your physical phone, it's fine also. So you should see that this emulator should behave just like the real phone. For example, if I click Chrome, yes, accept and continue, yes, next, no thanks, then go to a website like like YouTube. Well, it should work just like your phone would. Yes. So yeah, so this is where your phone will build. Should be able to test your phone from your mobile app from here. And that concludes our setup for the Android virtual device. So to close this, you can shut it down by powering it off. it should automatically shut down. So after you have created your virtual device, you can now close this one, and you can also close for now. But instead of closing, we will click SDK Manager, and we will take note of the SDK location, because our next topic will be about setting up your environment variables. So environment variables are the path, the variables that holds the path to a specific program. So for example, if you want to link your SDK to React Native, React Native needs to know where the SDK is located. So following this example, we will go to the control panel and then click user accounts and then change environment variables. For Windows 10 users, a simple way would be to press search, then search for environment as the keyword. It should automatically prompt you to the edit the system environment variables, and then just click it, then click environment variables. It should be a shortcut. So we have a lot of automatically added user and system variables, environment variables. So it says that we need to create a new Android home user variable that points to the location of the Android SDK. So click that, copy, and then remember that it's for the user variable. So new here, variable name, and then go back to your SDK manager and copy the location of your SDK. Okay. So you should see it here. So now React Native knows your Android home after applying this one. So next is add platform tools. So platform tools is a set of tools that includes the emulator. So by default, when you run your React Native application, React Native will attempt to open your emulator automatically and build your React Native mobile application onto the available device. So for that, it needs to have access to the platform tools. So all we need to do is go back here and then click on the change my environment variable, select the path variable on your user, then edit. You should have this local app data Android SDK platform tools. If ever you don't, for example, let's delete. You can click new and then just paste it in there. So the order doesn't matter for now. So okay. So you're ready to start testing an actual React Native application on our device. So fully test our React Native CLI, we need to create a initial project. Though the only command we need to run is this one. So highlight this code, copy it, open your terminal. So for example, I have PowerShell here, I have command terminal here, cmd. So what I will do for now is close everything, close the terminals, and then just open a new terminal. So start menu, type cmd, command prompt. You don't need to run it as administrator now. It will point you to the user folder, and then just change your current directory to the desktop, cd desktop. It should point you to the desktop, which is more convenient for me. So if it's totally based on your preference, but this is where I will launch the command. So paste the command here, copy, then right click to paste, and then awesome project can be anything. You can name this test app, and then let's just wait for the command to run. It should take a couple of minutes. So after successfully running the command, npx react-native init, then specifying the name. All of this should be a check. Then it will have additional instructions for Android or Windows. This one, we'll just go and apply these instructions, which is cd change record directory to the test app, and then run the React Native project by typing npx react-native run Android. This should build your project, and if you're prompted, just click allow access. And like I said, the platform tools that we have linked to the system path before will be used by React Native to open your emulator immediately, as well as use other tools by Android Studio. So this only confirms that we are actually correct in our setup of the platform tools, the SDK, as well as Android Studio as a whole. So you can wait for the app to finish building. This will be the first Hello World application. So once your React Native app finishes building on the Java side, node, the Metro bundler should show that the React Native bundle is being built, and that your sample application is now running as a native application on your Android device. So if you see this means your setup was successful. So now that we have successfully run our project, our new project using React Native CLI, we can now proceed to go to Expo, which is a much simpler setup than the native CLI. So just to give you a quick overview, when we open our test app, the main differentiator between Expo and the native CLI is the presence of these folders Android and iOS. So the presence of the Android and iOS folders implies that you have, at some point, even for a little bit, you have to add some native piece of code to the Android or iOS folder respectively. So for example, if you're planning on launching an app in the Play Store, you'd have to add some code to the Android folder. Or if you want to add location services, Firebase, you have to add some native code for both Android and iOS. So for notifications. So for more complex functionalities, at some point you have to interact with the native side of the application code base. So this is where React Native Expo comes in. So Expo is a tool chain that allows you to avoid this native interaction and just focus on the pure JavaScript side. So now we can close this app. And we will close our Android Studio. since we no longer need that. We need to keep our emulator open so we can avoid opening it again. Let's close our Metro server, Metro bundler. And then we keep our command prompt here. And then cd back to the desktop by typing double dot. So type clear or CLS. And then we need to go back to our browser and scroll up and go to expo-cli quick start. So it says here that we need to one requirement we need to have is we need to have node 12 LTS, which we already did install a couple of minutes back. So we will be using npm to install the expo-cli that will allow us to build React Native apps with Expo toolchain. So copy, and on your terminal, since you already have nvm installed, you just confirm that nvm is available on this terminal, nvm list. And then to make sure that we are using node 12, nvm use 12.22.7. So it says here that we are denied because our permission level is on the user level only. So if you haven't set your NVM to 12.22, just like mine, I have already set mine to use 12.22 or version 12. You can go to search, then type command prompt or cmd, then run as administrator, and then run the command nvm use 12 point whatever your version is. So for example 12.2.7, so it will say now using node version 12, and then you're gonna close. So this is intended to be not used very often because you need to set your versions very carefully to avoid errors when building for projects. So make sure that you're using 12, and then npm should already be available here. So when you type npm, the path to the program should be available already. So we need to paste the command npm install -g expo-cli. Then it will begin to install the expo-cli. So let's just wait for the download to finish. After expo-cli has been successfully installed, as you can see here, you can run the command expo init. Expo should be available on the terminal by now. Yes, it's already available. So it has a huge set of tools that allows you to develop React Native and publish React Native applications simpler than using the React Native CLI. So you want to create a new app. So we type expo init desktop. So we cannot create a new app called test app because we already created a previous one using the React Native CLI. So what we can do is change the name test app expo. So unlike the React Native CLI, Expo actually provides us with a set of templates that we can use. One is the manage workflow, one is the bear workflow. you can just choose any or test any, but for now we'll just select the first option. And Expo will also do a lot of optimizations and setups from the get-go, unlike in a native CLI application. So we just have to wait for it to complete. So after our project is successfully finished building our project, we can follow the instructions and go to the folder test app expo, and then for now we pick npm run android because we only have a android device. So this will open a custom web application on your local host. It's the expo developer um, tools. So unlike the native CLI, Expo actually developed this tool as a means of simplifying some ways on how we run the app, on how we test the app. So this one. So you see this app is finally working. And if you want to run this app on your physical device, you need to have the Expo app on your Android device. And then there's an option there where you can scan the QR code, and this exact app should be the one you will see on your screen. So to verify that we actually have this working, we need to go to the test app expo, open up app.js. So for me, I will use code, open with code. You can use the text editor if you don't have any code editors. So for this one, I'll click on app.js and I'll just say hello world. It should automatically reflect because React Native has a feature called hot reload. So we have now successfully built a setup our machine for local React Native development. So now you can run both apps in the Expo CLI and also the React Native CLI. So this means that you're able to be flexible in the kinds of project that you will use. Some projects can run on Expo only. Some projects are more complex and need additional guidance or native code interaction. So yeah, I hope this guide helped you in your setup, and I hope to see you in the next coming videos about React Native on this channel. Thank you very much.